Hi Tribe, I'm Evelyn, and this is Demon Dialogues, a place on Objectively Type where we talk about everybody's favorite topic, our demons. And so this is the last of the series that I've been doing, going through my function stack in Save Your Demon order. So not in Grant stack order, but in Save Your Demon order. And so we've reached the bottom, deepest level of the dungeon. We have found the worst, biggest demon in my stack, the Demigorgon at the bottom of the well that's been stealing kids. Masculine Introverted Sensing. So, as an ENFP, introverted sensing was going to be a bad function for me anyway, right? So, even as a straight ENFP, non-jumper, any flavor of ENFP is going to have struggles with our fourth function, with our, very bottom function, our inferior, that's the word I was looking for, function, introverted sensing. I have it like particularly bad because so my fourth function is single activated as a lead play, and actually like a double activated play because I'm sleep last. I have introverted sensing only single activated. So, and as a demon, like I don't pull on my introverted sensing till I get to my blast, which is my third animal. That's when I start to pull on my introverted sensing. But the advantage I feel like I've had, and I think I've talked about this on this channel, the advantage I think I have, though, is that my introverted sensing is masculine. And that actually, I think, helps, because I think that having that masculine energy on that function kind of grounds it and makes it real and makes it something I can't easily ignore. I think that feminine introverted sensing for an ENFP or an ENTP would be even harder and worse, because the feminine sensory, my husband has feminine sensory, it is like, especially feminine sensory as a demon is tough, because number one, those of us who are N above S, we tend to kind of ignore the sensory. It's not so much that we even devalue it. Like, I think we understand the importance of the sensory, like we get it, but we just don't work with that. Like, our brain defaults to our imagination first. And well, let's talk a little bit about N versus S. So like, sensory, in my mind, the way that I see it, the sensing functions are about like, what do you observe with your five senses, right? What do you, like that airplane, like I hear that airplane going over and I see this surroundings that I'm in and so forth. Like, that's my sensing function doing its thing. My intuition is kind of my imagination. It's things that are going on completely in my head. And anytime you have a person that's N over S, it's just that their default mode is kind of to trust their imagination, trust their gut, trust. The way I think of it is like, trust your concepts about a thing rather than the actual physical thing itself. Whereas those that are sensing above intuition, they still have that imagination, they still have intuition, but at the end of the day, like, what they trust is the sensory. Like, bring me the facts of the matter, bring me the observations that I can take in, and I can trust that. Having demon masculine sensing means that even though my default mode is intuitive and in my imagination, the sensory feels very solid to me and very secure to me. I've talked about masculine and feminine functions before, but to me that's like the difference between the two. It's like, which of the ones kind of feels more ethereal, less solid, harder to sort of put your base on, less secure, and which feels more secure. And in my case, my introverted sensing happens to be masculine. I also happen to think that introverted sensing, almost by definition, is more solid than extroverted sensing, because introverted sensing is like all about your known information. So it takes the introverted observer, OI, which is kind of like control, especially in the OPS lingo, right? It's like the control thing. And attaches it to the sensory world. So it's like your controlled, known sensory. So, okay, great. All of that's great. How do I experience demon SI? Like, how do I experience my SI? How do I experience it as a demon? So for me, it almost kind of goes back to the more traditional views of introverted sensing, where I see introverted sensing very much about like my history and my known information. My known information is how I experience my sensing function. Everything is sort of calibrated in relation to my known experience and facts that I've already picked up, right? It's like my history and my context. Like, that's how a lot of people understand it, and honestly, that's how I experience introverted sensing. I feel like my sensing function because I'm not an extroverted sensor, the way that I tend to take in information is, yes, I take in the sensory because like we live in a sensory world, but I'm very quickly trying to gather up the concepts and the imaginations and conclusions that I can draw from it, and then kind of file that in my introverted sensing history, if you will, like if that makes any sense. So how does that work as a demon? So for me, a lot of times, like especially where it comes up in like a demon state, is like I have my conclusions about a thing, but I'm completely disregarding the facts of the matter. And it's not until usually a friend or somebody from the outside has to remind me of the facts, like, no, this is what happened, that I'm able to deal with the difficult situation I'm dealing with. You know, I tend to kind of double down on my conclusions about a thing instead of the reality of the thing, right? So that's one way that it comes up as a demon. You know, Dave and Shannon talk a lot about the introverted observing functions, SI and NI, as routine and organization and things like that. And of course, there's an element of that in SI. And I think this is where my masculine SI really comes in handy, because I feel like as an ENFP, I do have a pretty good handle on like routines and stuff. I mean, it was a journey for me. Like it was a learning, but it was a learning I learned in my like maybe early 30s, late 20s, especially. I mean, I managed to kind of get through college without a super strong SI game. Like, honestly, I guess I NT puzzled my way through aerospace engineering school, because like I didn't really start having a disciplined like workflow system until I had kids. When I had kids, it was just like all of the sensory became overwhelming for me. Like I needed a system to deal with the kids and the job and the spouse and the, you know, everything that was coming along with being a mom. And so for me, I found David Allen's Getting Things Done and things like that. And that really helped me a ton. Like learning how to systematize my day and sort of get my sensory organized was huge. And like, I know, you know, when I talk to other ENFPs, like those of us that have really like been able to kind of work with the sensory, all of us have some sort of a something system, whether it's the bullet journal or a folder system or GTD or apps, something to help us like organize our sensory and have, I'll say like, really it's like bullet points to the day. So really introverted sensing for me, that's what it's become. It's just this very like mechanical, like, okay, here's my list for the day that I go through. You know, here are the things I want to get done. and so it's a very clear bulletized list. And that, I guess that's the other thing I want to bring up. For me, since I have demon masculine introverted sensing, like I need those lists. Like I rely on those lists. I need those lists. And anytime I don't have a list, I fail. Like I could say that I want to get something done, you know, till I'm blue in the face, but until I write it down in a list, and I know other people have issues like this too, so I'm not saying this is unique to demon introverted sensing. I just feel like it's like non-negotiable for me, that and journaling, because for me, with sleep last, a lot of times what I am not well connected to is what it is I value. Yeah, the what. Like what happened to me, how I felt about it, what I value, and things like that. Like kind of the past reflection stuff is what I will not do. And so that's why I have to have like a really strong journaling practice. And I have to make it easy for me because it's a demon. So I make it stupid easy for me. You know, some people want to reduce their time on their smartphone and stuff like that. For me, it's like, look, journaling on the smartphone is the easiest way to do it. That's the way that I know I'll do it and I'll be consistent. So I don't care that I'm on my phone, because what I do is I have like set up my phone to make certain things easy and other things harder. So the things that I want to discourage, the habits that I want to discourage, like social media and things like that, I hide from myself so that I can't see them. Maybe I'll make a whole demon dialogue about my system of what I do, because that might be fun. You know, I hide those things from myself, but then what I make really easy is my daily journal. I have a gratitude journal. I have a mood tracker, because that's the thing is like, I need that data, because what can happen to those of us that are like me with, you know, SF sleep last is we wake up one day and we're like, I feel like crap. Like I hate everything about my life. I don't know why. I feel depressed. I feel sick. I feel whatever. And I don't know what caused it. Like nothing seems to have changed because I'm just so much in my conceptual mind that I'm not looking at the pattern in the history. And so that's what you have to do. Like, so I've talked to other ENFPs and yeah, they do the same thing. It's like, yeah, I realized, oh, I haven't taken my vitamin D in 3 weeks and I hadn't even noticed. Okay, start taking the vitamin D. Oh, I feel better. Like it's things like that. It's really just a funny thing like that. Demon SI is an interesting demon to have, I feel like, because it's a lot of just structure and routines and sort of just bread and butter, chop wood, carry water stuff. Like simple stuff, you just got to stick with it. And your natural tendency as a savior gather is to not stick with it because it's boring and it's old and I don't want to do it. I'd rather gather the new thing that's fun. And so I think demon, either, you know, demon SI and demon NI, we both kind of have this issue. So anyways, I see I'm at like over 10 minutes, so that's enough for now on demon SI. I'd love to talk about it more. There's way more to unpack there. It's obviously my deepest, darkest demon. I've done a lot of reflection on it. So yeah, until next time, guys. Bye.